Hi guys, I am Syrachime and I welcome you back to another episode of Pokemon SoulSilver. In the last episode, we left Goldenrod City, made our way out through Route 35 and up to National Park, where we took part in the bug catching contest, got first place with an awesome Beedrill, even though Beedrill's not that awesome, and got a Sunstone as a result. And that was really all we were able to do before the time caught up to us, so in this episode, we're going to kind of finish looking around the National Park a little bit, then make our way through Route 36, through Routes 37, all the way up to, hopefully, Ecruteak City. But before we do that, you might notice that I am back here in Goldenrod City, and I do have a very good reason for that. And that is because I would actually like to give my little Slowpoke here a nickname. I figure it's been long enough now, and I would really like to give this Slowpoke a nickname, so yes, it is time to give this Pokemon a nickname. Now, as for what I'm going to name this Pokemon, well, I didn't really receive a lot of suggestions, but well, this Pokemon actually had a really unique thing to work with. I'll kind of talk about it in a minute, but first things first. Hello! I am the official name reader. We have been through this before, so yes, I want you to nickname one of my Pokemon. Which Pokemon should I critique? That would be the Slowpoke right here. Alright, so what on earth am I going to name this little pink Slowpoke of mine? Well, I really had to think about it because, well, Slowpoke is one of those rare Pokemon whose name would make a perfect nickname for its entire evolutionary line. But I did find a nickname that I liked. I've actually done a lot of research recently and found one that I liked, and what I'm going to call this Pokemon is this. Give me one moment just to type it up. Alright, there we go. I am calling this Slowpoke Dopey. There are several reasons I'm doing this. First and foremost, Slowpoke is a dopey Pokemon, and when it evolves, it's really not going to get much better. And not to mention, but Slowpoke also has this rare thing of where he looks so much like Dopey. I mean, from the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the resemblance is almost uncanny, isn't it? So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and name this Slowpoke of mine Dopey, and we are just going to go with that for the rest of our adventure. Done! How about that? From now on, this Pokemon shall be known as Dopey. Dopey the Dopey Pokemon. That sounds so funny. Alright, it's a better nickname than before, isn't it? Yes, it is, because I have given it that nickname. Good for you. Thank you once again. So glad that you could be of service. Alright, so there we have it. 2 or 3 Pokemon have my nicknames now. We got Baddie, we got Bloke, and now we have Dopey. Which I am literally calling this Pokemon that just because, well, I do like Dopey from the Three Stooges. Yes, the Three Stooges are totally the people, of course they are Dopey. Anyway, getting back on track. I do like Dopey from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and the resemblance really is there, so I went ahead and named it this. Alright, so I'm going to head back up now, head up towards the National Park, now that we've got all this taken care of. Now I'll meet you guys there in just a little bit, so I'll be right back. Alright, I am back at this beautiful park, but before I actually do any other exploring, I actually kind of want to show you guys something that I did off-screen. Totally forgot about this until now. Now, off-screen, I actually went back to Goldenrod City and took part in that little game corner contest and actually picked up several different TMs that I'm actually going to be teaching to my Pokemon. I've got 2 Ice Beams here. One is for, well, I'm actually going to teach this thing to my new Pokemon now, or at least to Dopey anyway, because I'd absolutely love to have a better move on here than just Confusion and Water Gun. So yeah, one of these Ice Beams is for Dopey here, which we'll just get rid of Tackle for that. And the other Ice Beam is actually going to be for a future Pokemon I'm going to get. What that Pokemon is, I will reveal when the time is right. Alright, so speaking of new attacks, I've also picked up Flamethrower, kind of the replacement of Fire Blast, but I'll explain why I did that in just a little while, again when we meet that Pokemon I want. But while I am talking about my Pokemon, off-screen I did level up my Pokemon a little bit. You'll see that most of my team is at level 20 except for Bloke here. Bloke has leveled up to level 22 and in the process actually obtained the move Fire Fang, or Ice Fang, excuse me. Has a little bit stronger of a base power than Bite does, with a slight less accuracy, but it's got some better special effects. So yeah, I went ahead and got this move here. Just wanted to show it to you guys so you aren't totally confused when we see that. But outside of that, my team is relatively the same. Alright, so before we actually leave this place, there is one area that you might find of interest. I am personally not going to take part in this because I have much better things to do, and my team is not really ready for it. And that is if you go over here, through this door right here is something called the Pokeathlon, or the Pokeathlon Dome. You make your way up here, we'll see exclamation mark. Wahaha! Here we got this weird guy with his whatever that is, a Poliwrath. I feel it. What do you feel, dude? Something inside of your gut that might be heartburn? The twinkle in your eyes. The twinkle of friendship. Okay, was not expecting that. You're quite something. Your Slowpoke is quite a Pokemon. Don't you mean Dopey? It's ready to participate in the Pokeathlon, bud. I think not. Most of all, your solitary... Excuse me, your solitary... whatever that is with your trust of Pokemon makes me believe in infinite potential. Excuse me. I cannot read tonight for some reason. Alright, follow me. Fine, it's not like we've got anything better to do. So we're going to follow this guy with this Poliwrath, and we come here to the Pokeathlon Dome. What do you think? That's a pretty nice building, I guess. Actually, it's a really nice building. Pokeathlon is a sport festival for trainers in Pokemon, or more or less some kind of Olympic Games for you and your Pokemon. Inside of the dome are various challenges awaiting trainers in Pokemon to test their friendship. Why don't you give it a try? Well, I would, but like I said, I've got more important things to do. You're amazing, bud. I'm glad you think so. This is a pleasant surprise. To see a Pokeathlete with strong potential is such a pleasure. I'm glad I helped I'm glad I held the Pokeathlon here in Johto. My name is Magnus. We shall meet again, bud. See you, young Pokeathlete. Yeah, you do that. I'll see you later, dude. And we have a Poliwrath who's just not happy to see us, I guess. Alright, so inside of here is the Pokeathlon Dome. I would like to go in there and actually try it out, but my Pokemon are not currently at the, well, not at the evolutionary stage to do that. I actually tried this once off screen and it did not go well. So let's just say that I'm not going to look into this until I actually get my Pokemon leveled up a little bit and they can actually compete a little bit better. Well, Dopey right here will be much better with his final evolutionary form, as will Bloke, Batty, and my Oddish, and everything else like that. Now, what I will say is if you do want to take part in the Pokeathlon, you could save up some points that you can get through there and get things like vitamins, evolutionary stones like the Water Stone, Grass Stone, Grass Leaf Stone, Thunder Stone, Fire Stone, stuff like that. You can get those on certain days of the week. Just kind of fiddle around with it, kind of see what you can get, but outside of that, that really doesn't serve much of a purpose, at least right now. So I will be going back there when my Pokemon are a little bit stronger, possibly after my 4th or 5th badge, just kind of have to see. But then after that, we will do it, so when I actually try it, my attempts are not as comedic as what they were before. Well, previously, my attempts weren't comedic at all. They were just absolute failures, to say the least. Alright, so before actually leaving this place, there's actually a couple of things inside of the national park that you might find of interest. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. One of those things is that item over there. If you make your way around here, there's actually an opening in the gate. Make your way through it and around. You can go down here and pick up what is essentially the... wait for it. There we go. We have found the Soothe Bell, which makes your Pokemon a little bit friendly. This will be incredibly helpful for a Pokemon we will be getting very soon. It also has a really important use for one of my Pokemon that I have right now. Go ahead and get that to Zubat for reasons you guys will see probably in an episode or two. Alright, so once you do that, there is one other thing you might find of interest, and that is on the other side of the park. What that is actually a pretty good TM. Well, it's debatable whether it's a good one or not. It has a really good base-powered move. Back in the 1st generation, 2nd generation, it really wasn't that good. Even the 3rd generation, it wasn't that great. But kind of here in the 4th generation, they upped the base power of this move to 80 points. And it's actually a pretty good move, especially if you can't get, well, you can't get the stronger version of this move. What that is, we'll just pick up this thing. That is the TM28 Dig. So like I said, this is a pretty good move to have just for the sake of, well, it's got a pretty good base power, and it's kind of worth teaching to a certain Pokemon if you have trouble with electric types, like I know my team is about to, or already does. Kind of talk about that later. So yeah, anyway, I went ahead and picked up that TM because I've got big plans for it. I'm actually going to need it for a Pokemon I'm getting very soon. But again, I will talk about that when we actually get to that Pokemon. Alright, so that is pretty much everything that's really worth your time here in the National Park. And because of that, we're going to go ahead and move on now from this place here to Route 36, which is beyond this hallway here. Alright, so as we are new here at Route 36, there are actually a couple of new Pokemon you could find here. We are going to identify those while we do Pokemon battles. So we battle this guy here, who is a Psychic. The first new Pokemon you can find here is the Fire-type Pokemon Vulpix, found in SoulSilver only throughout all the time cycles. Now Vulpix has a really good speed stat along with a good special defense stat, and this also goes along with a pretty respectable special attack stat. You throw into the fact that this is one of the few fire types that are available in the game, and you've got what is essentially a very good Pokemon right here, at least as far as fire types go. Now unfortunately it's not all roses for Vulpix. Stat-wise, Vulpix has a low defense stat, so it can't take a lot of hits physically, and in addition to that, this Pokemon virtually has no natural versatility whatsoever. Vulpix could be a very versatile Pokemon, but it requires breeding in order to do this, and it also requires hard to get TMs, which I don't understand. One of the best moves about Vulpix is it can learn Energy Ball, but it can only do so through breeding. I don't know why that's the case when it's actually a TM, but there you go. So as far as Vulpix goes overall, if you are in need of a fire type in SoulSilver, you didn't pick up a Typhlosion, I could recommend Vulpix. There are better fire types available in the game, but if you are in need of a fire type, it's a pretty good one. Second Pokemon you can find here, only available in Heart Gold throughout all the time cycles, is the fire type Pokemon Growlithe. Now Growlithe is a great Pokemon. It has excellent stat distribution, great offenses, great defenses, or respectable defenses and a respectable speed. And this, honestly, it has no real weaknesses inside of its stats at all. So, along with having really good stats, this Pokemon also has a really solid ability, two of which can make it function very well in pretty much any role. Now, while Growlithe really doesn't have a lot of weaknesses to work with, it does have the one in the fact that it does have a limited versatility within its move pool. It has some options, but most of the options are available and require you to wait till later in the game in order to work. And even though it is a stretch to say this, while it has some very viable stats, you kind of wish that this Pokemon stats were just a little bit better. Not much, but just a little bit higher. But that's just mostly a nitpick on my part. So, aside from that, Growlithe I highly recommend to anybody who wants a Fire-type Pokemon. It is one of the few Fire types in the game, and it's a great one at that. Great stats, great versatility in any of its roles. Highly recommend this Pokemon if you want a Fire type. Alright, the final Pokemon you could find is the normal type Pokemon Stantler, found in both versions of the game, but it is worth mentioning that while it can be found throughout all the time cycles, it can only be found, well, it's actually very rare in order to find. Now, Stantler has a respectable speed stat along with some respective offensive stats, but the main seller about this Pokemon is that it has a very versatile move pool, which it can be acquired both through leveling up and through TMs. Unfortunately, while Stantler has respectable offenses and speed, its defenses are horrible. It has absolutely no defenses whatsoever to work with, and even though it does have respectable offenses, they're only respectable at best. So because of the stats alone, you really need it to set up this Pokemon in order for it to be effective with boosting moves, but honestly, I wish you luck doing that. This Pokemon is incredibly hard to use without setup, and with the low defenses, you're probably not going to set up very well. So because of that, I actually don't recommend Stantler all that much. I would actually bypass. There are better normal types, better Pokemon in general aside from this one. Alright, so that takes care of the Psychic right there. Now that we've got him out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and swap my Slowpoke out because he's completely ran out of Ice Beams. I think he's had more than enough screen time, so good job, Dopey. I'm going to have a hard time doing that without... Oh, never mind. Alright, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and leave Oddish out there for a minute. Now, there is one trainer here you might actually find of interest, and that is this trainer here. If you battle him, he is not a required trainer, but if you do battle him, he will actually give you a very important item if you accept his phone number and call him, and that is the Firestone. If you ever want a Firestone to evolve one of your Pokemon, this would actually be an easy way to get one. I do want to add this guy to my phone number because I do need a Firestone for something you will be seeing in a little bit. For what I need it, well, you guys will see later. Alright, so we beat his Tangela with just one hit, and that was just absolutely awesome. Almost leveled up in the process, man. Huh? I totally missed that. Alright. When I'm reading textbooks and walking, I have to look down so I notice items on the ground. Next time I find something, I'll give it to you. That is very helpful, dude. May I have your phone number? Yes, you may, because I want the item that you have for reasons you will see why later. Haha. Alright, I'll call you as soon as I find something. You can count on it. I hope so, dude. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later. Alright, so here we have this little thing right here, which, well, if you talk to this guy, he says, I'm the flower shop's Floria. Listen, listen, when I sprinkled water on the wiggling tree, it jumped right up. I just had to be a Pokemon. It just has to be a Pokemon, excuse me, if you soaked it. Oh, that's the squirt bottle. Soak the tree for me. I want to see what happens. People are so cruel in these games. You know the tree doesn't like water, and you still want to soak it anyway. People really are cruel. Well, anyway, an odd tree. If you use the squirt bottle on this thing, you will find out that this tree is not a tree at all. In fact, the odd tree doesn't seem to like the squirt bottle. The odd tree attacked. As you will find out, this is not an odd tree at all. In fact, it is a Pokemon, very rare Pokemon called Sudowoodo. Haha. And as it is a new Pokemon, we can officially identify it as such. So Sudowoodo here is a Pokemon that is a rock type found in both versions of the game, but there is only one of them that can be found in the game. So if you want this thing, catch it now. It's your only chance to get it. Positives about Sudowoodo: it has a good attack stat along with a great defense stat, so you got a pretty good physical attacker and a physical defender right here. And if you throw into the fact that this Pokemon is the only rock type really in the game that has only rock typing, that's actually very solid. This is one of the better rock types because it lacks that ground typing, which gives it so many weaknesses. Now, unfortunately, Sudowoodo does have a low speed stat along with a low special defense stat. Most rock types can't take special moves, and Sudowoodo here is no exception. And in addition to that, this Pokemon is a rock type, as I've said numerous times, and unfortunately rock types from this point of the game on are not very good. The gym leaders aren't really affected by the rock types, so you may have trouble actually using this thing. But if you need a Pokemon, especially a rock type, you need an attacker and a defender, I could definitely recommend this Pokemon. It's potentially usable. It might have some problems with its move pool leveling up because some of the stuff it gets aren't until later, but if you want it, there it is. Alright, so I've wore this thing down a little bit. While I am not using this thing on my team personally, I am still going to try and catch it. If I can't catch it with 2 Great Balls, I will just kill it. Or faint it, because my cousins always let me know about it. Because I can't say die. Pokemon except Marowak do not die in these games. Alright. Added Sudowoodo's data to the Pokédex. We see it disguises itself as a tree to avoid attack, which is very incredibly smart, believe it or not. And fun fact, Sudowoodo is actually one of the few rock-type Pokemon that actually gets a grass-type move in the form of Woodhammer. Who knew? It hates water, so it will disappear when it starts raining. Alright, do I want to give a nickname to the Sudowoodo? No, I do not, because I am not adding this thing to my team. We will send it to Box 1 of someone's PC. That was fun! Yes, causing misery to Pokemon is what people enjoy doing in Pokemon games. I want to give you this for entertaining me. And with that, we obtained berry pots, which is more or less things that you can, well, we'll just see it. With that berry pots, you can grow any berry from any region with no worries. That's right, I'll give you some berries, too. Berry pots won't do any good without berries. You got that right, dude. So with that, we obtained some orange berries. We also obtained some pecha berries. Not sure what those do exactly. We'll find out later. You plant the berries in the soil. You should water it from time to time. Then they'll grow strong. I have to go back to Goldenrod. Are you heading to Ecruteak? Well, that's the plan if you will let me go. Then you should go north of here. See you around. Yeah, sure, you jerk. Get away from me before I do something you'll regret. Before I do something... Oh, never mind. Alright, so interesting fact here. If you go that way, you will actually be at Violet City. Yes, we've taken care of that tree. That tree was the only thing standing between us and Goldenrod before. But now that it is gone, you can go to Violet City as you please. I do not want to. I have other places I want to go, and we are going to make our way in those directions accordingly. Alright, so here we are on Route 37, where we're about to be. There we go. And as it turns out, there are actually no new Pokemon on this particular route. Let's switch my... I can go ahead and leave Oddish out there for the time being. Probably use a little bit of screen time. I'd like to have Dopey out there, but... Well, anyway, before you actually get to Ecruteak City, there is actually a required battle here. You might think you have to do one trainer or the other, but no, you actually have to do them both. And these trainers are just as annoying as Whitney for reasons you will see in a minute. Oh, you are a cute little trainer. Why don't you battle me? Well, I suppose I could. I like cute things, maybe. Hey there. Hey there, you young trainer. Won't you battle me? Alright, sorry about the cut there, guys. I really didn't mean to cut out the battle, but it was just more or less 5 minutes of my Pokemon being infatuated, not being able to attack, just a lot of stupid stuff that really wasn't worth showing. It just gave me a headache just trying to do. But during the battle, something very interesting happened. Oddish leveled up, and as a result, we see, what? Oddish is evolving! So yes, the second member of my team is evolving. Well, the fourth member actually, but it's the second Pokemon to evolve. What will it evolve into? Well, you've already seen it, but it is the official Pokemon Gloom. Haha! Congratulations, your Oddish evolved into Gloom. And because of that, we learn nothing new as a result. Alright, so that takes care of that, and there is Lyra calling me. Lyra, what do you want? I'm kind of busy at the moment. Hello, this is Lyra. Good evening. Don't you mean good morning? It is currently 1:40 right now. I recently went over to Route 41 to have fun. You know, water-type Pokemon really love the sea. Way to state the obvious. Anyway, watching your Pokemon have fun and be happy is enough to make you happy too. That was literally all you had to say. You interrupted my entire adventure just for that? Crazy people are crazy. Alright, well anyway, here we've got this Gloom, so I actually did take quite a bit of damage from all that, but thankfully just beyond these city gates is the city that I actually find very interesting, and that is Ecruteak City. One of the places that has one of my favorite songs in the entire game. Not as much as the National Park, but still, it's a really good song. Let's do it in a minute, because I took a lot of damage, and I mean, well, there you go. My Pokemon lost. Dopey and Patty and Gloom just barely survived the battle. So we're going to go ahead and go to the Pokemon Center and heal up really quick, and then we'll explore the city shortly after that. We make our way in here, and wait, what? Who on earth is this? Bill? What? Bill's back! Wow! Well, if it is... It's Mr. Clefairy! Or Mr. Bill wanting to be Mrs. Clefairy. Anyway, hi, I'm Bill, and who are you? I am Chime, the errand boy. I've been through this a lot. Moving on. Chime, huh? Yes, you got it. Does it sound familiar? Probably should. We had a weird encounter with you in Fire Red. Anyway, you know what? I'm the one who developed the system to transfer Pokemon, but it couldn't have been done by me alone. For example, do you know the Hoenn region? Well, I actually haven't played that game too much. I have played Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. I do know it, but actually Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald are that series that I actually miss, believe it or not. We'll get back to that in a minute, but anyway. This girl, Lynette from Hoenn, made the Pokemon storage system easier to use. My friends all over the world are working together to improve the Pokemon trade and storage systems. I have to hurry back to Goldenrod and see my folks. You have folks in... Wait a minute, your family's here in Johto? What were you doing in Kanto back in Fire Red? Ah, well, moving on. Bye-bye. Goodbye, Bill, you crazy guy. Glad to see he's at least somewhat more normal now. Alright, so with that, we have made it to Goldenrod City. I will actually heal up in just a little bit. But because we are here in Goldenrod City, we've actually got quite a bit to explore here, but I think I'm going to save most of that for the next episode. I think we've done more than enough right now. We've leveled up our little Oddish here, and it evolved it into Gloom. We've nicknamed Dopey, and a lot of other things like that. So we're going to go ahead and call things off here. And next time in my Let's Play of Pokemon SoulSilver, we are going to explore this wonderful city that is Ecruteak City. Kind of look around, see what's here, and then do a few other things accordingly from there. So, until that time, I will catch you guys later.